Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
In an uncertain world, in a chaotic time, justice wears a mask.
Was good. His was better.
Love is a game.
What is it about the wrong kind of man?
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
Power is a machine.
Now you've devised a way to read men's minds.
By the way, I've seen your mind, freak.
And revenge is a trap.
You're a genius.
Riddler and Two-Face can make a pretty lethal combination. Train me, let me be your partner.
Who's your tailor?
But first,
let's meet our contestants.
Going down.
If the bat wants to play, we'll play.
Was that over the top?
Don't work too late.
You forgot the part where you kissed the girl.
The real game begins. Courage now. Truth always. Batman forever.
Watching every feature film that stars a certain Cape Crusader. Batman! Batman! Yes, of course I'm watching the cartoon and all 3 Lego movies. Batman! Batman! Sing it with me. Batman! Batman! This is big screen Batman! Oh, oops. Oh, Batman.
$1995. I was 19 years old. Actually, at this time, I was 18 years old. In college, finished my freshman year of college and was excited because my girlfriend was coming up from my sophomore year. She transferred in, and it worked out. We're still married. But yeah, that was a long time ago. And I remember still being into superheroes. Maybe I was trying to be too cool and trying to be like an adult. I doubt it, but I remember seeing this in the theater. I just don't know if I saw Batman Forever with her or with my brother and friends. I think both, maybe. I just don't remember. The other 4, like, you know, those 4 original Batman movies, those other 3, I remember. This one, I don't quite remember. I just remember seeing it in the theater. I did see it in the theater, didn't I? I had to have. But I don't think I've seen it all the way through until this time around. And when I tell you this time around, I mean last night. I watched it last night, and when I was done, I was like, I don't even want to talk about this right now. It's late. I just want to go to bed. I want to stew on it a little bit and collect my thoughts. I remember liking this more, I think. I remember thinking, well, this one was okay. It was Batman and Robin that I really disliked. So I'm wondering how I'm going to feel watching Batman and Robin after I watched this that I thought I liked, and certain things I enjoyed. But that's a much shorter list. Like, this movie, I don't think is a good movie. And like, I thought the acting was fine. I thought Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne and Batman was okay. He played it very dry Bruce Wayne. Like, it was almost like he tried to be normal. Like, I'm trying to be normal here. I'm a normal person. This is how a normal person talks. I'm very upset. What are you doing? That's when he got upset. Where Michael Keaton, being like a regular normal guy, was just like easy. You know, there was no effort. Where it felt like Val Kilmer was trying to be normal, trying to be, and it was just, but it was okay. The Nicole Kidman, I mean, right away she's thrown herself at Batman, okay, but she plays this Dr. Chase Meridian. Again, not a great name. I don't know if that name's from the comic. I have no idea, but it's a real kind of goofy name. And she was in town because of Two-Face. There was a lot in this movie that bothered me so much. Like, okay, Two-Face. I'm jumping all over the place because I don't care. Was he ever called Harvey Two-Face in the comics? I don't know. I know he's called Two-Face, and he was Harvey Dent. And I know it was Billy D. Williams in the first Batman movie, but they ignored that. And all of a sudden they called him Harvey Dent, I think, and they call him Harvey Two-Face, and they call him Two-Face, and it was confusing. And half his face was Tommy Lee Jones, the other half was basically the Leprechaun, a purple version of the Leprechaun movies, the Warwick Davis movies. It was over the top because everything in this movie was over the top. Where the Tim Burton movies, and this was produced by Tim Burton, but right away, everything is different. The font, different. It's more like a jagged font. It's like, this is the 90s. You're in the 90s now. The color, we got a lot of fluorescent. Like, the last one felt like that gothic, like grays and just everything dull and rainy. And this was like, it also was very hyper stylized, but it was fluorescent and weird angles and just bright and just different. Now, and the score, a whole new score, a whole new composer doing the score. I didn't even recognize his name to the point where I don't remember, and I can't tell you right now, but I looked it up and I knew it. I was pretty sure it wasn't Danny Elfman. It's funny, the score, actually, I'm like, oh, this feels like Batman because I've heard the score so many times that this is a Batman feeling. It's just a different Batman theme, but this felt like a Batman theme. Dude, that one, I was like, oh, we didn't get this till this movie? Okay, I enjoyed the score. It's different from the Danny Elfman, but I enjoyed it. I'm curious at what people think of Joel Schumacher's like action direction. There are some weird things in this movie, and I don't know if it's because of the use of miniatures. There's a lot of like close up of action happening. Like Batman crashes a helicopter through the Gotham version of the Statue of Liberty. That looked weird. And then it shows him like diving in the water, but it's really close up, like a lot of slow motion. It was, excuse me, it was weird. I liked the Batman suit at the beginning of this. I feel like he had more motion, a little more movement in this. Then all the Batman suits were destroyed. They had to bring out the prototype. Once I realized, oh, it's a prototype with sonar. Okay, that's why it looks different. I'm okay. Do they really have to show his ass? At one point, I don't know if it's that one, but he suits up and they show his ass. And I'm like, look, I get it. It's a comic book movie. And Joel Schumacher took this as, I'm going to do a comic book movie. I'm going to have a fun, silly movie. It was not more like the 60s show, but it had some references to the 60s show. Even Val Kilmer, the way he talked like Batman, kind of sounded a little like Adam West talking. A little bit. He talked a lot more than Michael Keaton did. He was talking with the police. He was like, at the beginning, that was a little different. Of course, we see Robin's, the Dick Grayson family's trapeze outfit is basically Robin's outfit. But I guess Alfred is the one who made the new outfit. Pretty cool, Alfred. And of course at the end when they're running, like the silhouette of Batman and Robin running, that is like right out of the Batman TV show, isn't it? Like the beginning of the cartoon of them running. But they're in front of the bat signal. I don't know. There is, and I love Batman and I love the crazy villains, but I like when it's done better, I guess. It's funny where you take all these characters in this world and then you give it to someone like Christopher Nolan, what he does with it. Not all the characters, but some of the characters. How he makes it feel more like this could be happening in the world you live in, where the high end, like over the top villains are more like scary monsters, and it feels more realistic. But at the same time, this is a comic book. Should it feel realistic? I mean, this is also the 90s in the comic books where there wasn't I don't want to say a template, but there wasn't so much, I don't know what to say. Like it wasn't, I guess I could say there wasn't a template. There wasn't an exact, like, that's how they do it now. They make it more realistic, quote unquote realistic, where it's hyper realized. I don't know how to explain this, but it's less goofy. There, I'll just say it, less goofy. This movie brought in the goofiness. I mean, we had like a gang that just used like lightsabers, basically neon lightsabers, and their makeup was also that it glowed in the light. Why? I don't know. But then later there was a band at a show that had instruments that had fluorescent tubes and glowed. Why? Because Joel Schumacher wanted this to be bright and goofy and silly. That's the only thing I can say. And, it's not like, I mean, imagine if Lost Boys was like this. He did Lost Boys. It was very, very, very down-to-earth vampire movie, but still, very not hyper-realized kind of style. Where this was, way hyper-realized. And some of the acting was just, like, and I don't know if it's the voiceover, some of the things that I'm like, they left this in. Like, at the beginning, Batman gets locked in a safe with some dude, and he's like, oh my goodness, it's boiling hot acid. And he's like, oh no. And then Batman takes his hearing aid to help listen to the lock so he can pick the lock. And the guy goes, hey, that's my hearing aid. Like, it was painful. And I'm thinking, this is what they decided on. This is what they said. Perfect. That's great. A lot of time it felt just like, okay, we got the shot. It looks a little weird, but that's fine. We got it. Let's move on to the next thing, like Batman diving headfirst into water. It was very... It felt... I don't know if clumsy is the right word. I don't know. Okay, and then also, I haven't talked about Chris O'Donnell as Robin. Chris O'Donnell, I think, comes off better as kind of a little nerdy, a little everyman. Though, to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you 3 Chris O'Donnell movies I've seen. I've never actually seen Scent of a Woman. I never actually seen Circle of Friends. And I'm sorry, I don't watch NCIS Los Angeles. So that leaves me with Batman and Robin, Batman Forever. And I'm going to guess I've seen another Chris O'Donnell movie, but I do not know. His earring was ridiculous. It was bigger than his head. I mean, I was like, I thought, what is going on there? Are we in Pirates? A pirate movie. Yeah. Oh, as far as the pull over from the old movie. So this is Tim Burton produced, but that's it. Tim Burton's like, yes, put my name on it. You can use elements of my stories, and I don't know what he had to do with this movie. And I wonder if this is the time he was working on the Superman movie that never happened, the Nick Cage Superman movie. But the only holdovers from the original, Burton verse we have is Michael Gough as Alfred, and Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. Everything else is different. We have a different mayor, George Wallace, very famous stand-up comedian. He was in it for like 1 second. And, of course, Val Kilmer as Batman. And I'm trying to think if they recast anybody else. Well, of course, then they brought Harvey Dent as Tommy Lee Jones. They ignore most of the Burton stuff. Like, they don't bring up Vicky Vale at all. They do bring up Catwoman. They do mention Catwoman, so that's interesting. Now, okay, so Vicky Vale was already gone in Batman Returns, so that's fine, actually. Why would they bring her up? And of course, this is the next one, so they do take, like, Chase Meridian, Nicole Kidman talks about a woman in leather with a whip. So there is a mention of Catwoman. But Batman, he's like, I don't have much luck with women. But he's completely into telling her who he is and giving the whole story, which is what he did to Vicky Vale, which is what he did in the Mask the Phantasm. He told he was ready to share with a woman. There's a theme going on here. I don't know if we get it in Batman and Robin. I have no idea. Trying to think who else was in this that we know. Well, I mean, there was I recognize the guy. I think he just passed away. He was in Deep Space Nine, Rene Dubois or something like that. He was in Benson, and he played the Doctor at the end, but his name was Dr. Burton, and he had wild black hair, of course, like Tim Burton. And of course, I haven't talked about Jim Carrey once yet. Jim Carrey is 1995, so you're talking he's just coming off of his like major renaissance of Ace Ventura. I think The Mask and Dumb and Dumber are already all out. I feel like all this happened at once for him because all of a sudden he is the big get, and he was good in this. He was, part of it's just Jim Carrey hamming up Jim Carrey, but I thought he was good. He was probably the best part of this movie. But there were, of course, like just the decisions of things where it's like, okay, so earlier in the movie, Bruce Wayne talks about like he's having living nightmares of his parents' death. He keeps reliving. Oh, sorry. I just hit my dog on the ear as I was moving my hand. He's having living nightmares of his parents' death. Living nightmares, and he keeps reliving them. They're in his head. And then, of course, what does Edward Digma's thing want to do? He wants to get into people's heads, and he gets into Bruce Wayne's head, and he sees a bat. He sees a big bat just kind of waving, and he's flapping his wings. And so obviously he's Batman, so they figure out he's Batman. So both of them have to go. Tommy Lee Jones just kind of falls because of coins. And which is the same thing that happened to Jack. But the Riddler does survive at the end. He survives, and he goes a little crazy, and he claims he knows who Batman is, but he's like, I'm Batman. What I don't understand is, I guess he put a wig on. The Riddler wore a wig. I assume he had a couple wigs, because at one point he has his little wig on. Then he has a press conference where he's his normal hair again. Actually, it's better than when he was like at the beginning. It was like kind of normal Jim Carrey liar hair. And then he goes back to being the Riddler. I think this was kind of his way of his secret was putting on a wig and a mask and eye black. But then at the end, all of a sudden he decided to change into like a silver glittery outfit with a new cane, because he can invent canes. And he's like, that's when he gives me the famous riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat? But all of a sudden his hair's more teased up more. I'm like, what happened that he changed into this? Why is there a costume change? And again, that's Joel Schumacher. That's his decision, I guess. it didn't make any sense that all of a sudden in the middle of this he changed. Like if it was at the beginning and he's like, it's going to be a big night, it calls for a big spectacle or something, that makes sense. There's not doesn't have to be a perfect explanation, but something to show that he didn't run away while Batman was showing up and change his clothes, because that's what it felt like happened. What else can I talk about? Drew Barrymore's in this for she's in it, she speaks, but it's a very small role. Her and Debbie Mazur, is it? They played I forget what it was, Sugar and Spice or something like that, like the good side and the bad side, of course, because Two-Face has two people. I did like that I don't remember this, but that Harvey Dent, Two-Face, kept saying us and our, like he was using the plural pronouns, like there was two of them the whole time. I thought that was a nice little touch. I'm not sure what else to talk about with the acting. Yeah, I guess, and the trapeze. I don't know. It's, again, Joel Schumacher in the close up of this action. It just didn't jive with me. It felt very clunky. A lot of the action felt clunky. They had some good special effects as far as Batman, but he'd just swoop in. Like his cape was so rigid, like he could hang glide in with his cape, even though there was no rigidness to it. A lot of weird stuff like that. That the 44-year-old of me is going, wait, huh? What's going on there? And I guess the last thing to talk about is the music. Now, my favorite song in this is the one no one really cares about. It's the Flaming Lips song that happens when the Riddler, when Jim Carrey kind of goes back to his apartment. You're stuck where you are. I love that song. And that's when he kind of decides to become the Riddler. That's dumb. He's using a computer, and the computer's like, was it costume ideas? This was 1995, so they're trying to figure out how computers even work. Like, people just don't know how computers work, so they just well, you would use this, and it would say this, and it's dumb. Again, he already had, the Riddler. He had, a little bobblehead that looked like a Riddler. He had a fortune-telling machine in his apartment that looked like a Riddler, so that's where he got the idea of being the Riddler. So if anyone worked with him and saw this bobblehead on his desk at work, they would be like, oh, that's him the whole time. When he killed Ed Begley Jr., I liked that. That was kind of a neat scene. His machine was very goofy, where you can see TV in your brain, where it just reminded me of a book I'm reading right now, Ready Player 2. Now, at the same time, then he realizes, oh no, I can take people's information and make myself smarter. That's when he started becoming a villain. So, okay, that's not too bad. But again, the music. So there were two, Batman Returns completely ignored pop music altogether. And this one, had two big songs that were released for this movie that weren't even used in the movie at all. They're just used at the end credits. It ended with U2's, what is it? Kiss Me, Kill Me, something, Thrill Me, something, whatever. And then the more famous one is the Seal, Kissed by a Rose on the Sea, or something like that. Kiss from a Rose. Those are just used at the end credits. Think about the Bat Dance, and think about the Prince stuff in the original Batman movie. That stuff was used at the art museum when Joker's scratching everything. It's used at the parade. It was used. This was that's Prince putting together the whole soundtrack, I guess, too. This was two songs that were just thrown at the end of the soundtrack. It's yeah, this is the 90s. Here's those cool songs. Go buy the soundtrack. And I think the soundtrack actually did good, but that's because you couldn't just go online and stream these things. This is, again, 1995. Okay, the online, if you want to go online, you had to go on Prodigy and dial in. I don't even know if people were using American Online yet. Maybe they were. Of course they were. Yeah, that's it. How long have I talked for? Long enough. Yeah, that's it. I think I'm done talking about Batman forever. But again, I watched it last night on HBO Max. And of course, the huge news is that Warner Brothers is taking every major release that they have for 2021 and releasing them on HBO Max at the same time. Obviously, this is pandemic driven. Obviously, the movie chains are pissed because they're trying to get get their feet up under them. But I feel they're releasing them in the theater and AMC. I'm not looking to go to a movie theater. So if you are a subscriber to this podcast and you know what movie month is, I'm pretty excited about that. Now, I guess people can still see it in the theater if they want to see King Kong versus Godzilla on the big screen. Go for it. I'll watch it on my home television. That's completely fine with me, which is what I did with Batman Forever last night. Of course, Roku doesn't have an HBO Max channel yet, so I had to use the Chromecast, which is fine. It's fine. Yeah, that's it. I'm excited for that. But next up, we have one more we have to get through. Yes, I call it have to get through. Because then I feel like the sky opens up and sunlight shines in and we get 3 great movies, or at least 2 great movies and 1 good movie. I'm looking forward to the next 3 big time. Because some of them I haven't seen in a while. One of them I haven't seen since I saw it in the theater. So that's it for Batman Forever. Joel Schumacher's first of 2 Batman films will be back on big screen Batman Geek Mentality to talk about George Clooney, talk about his time, his one and only time in the Batman, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman and a weird Bane and John Glover. And I'm just trying to, if I remember everything, I wonder if I will like this more than I like Batman Forever. There's a chance. But there's another chance it's just as goofy, and therefore I will dislike it, and there's a Bat credit card. So, yeah, that's it. I'm done. Listen, you guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Geek Mentality. The website is fans.experts.com. The Facebook page is fans.experts. And the theme song, this is the theme song.
This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. 'Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans not experts.